This is the GEPRC Darkstar 2.2, and this is the GEPRC Darkstar 1.6. And this video is not a review of these quadcopters, because in order for me to review them, I have to set them up so I can fly them. And my policy is, as long as I'm doing something, make a video about it. If you've just bought these quadcopters, or maybe another quadcopter similar to it, this video is going to go through all the steps that you need to follow in order to set them up. I'm Joshua Bardwell. You're going to learn something today. And let me start by acknowledging that it's freaking annoying that you can't just buy this dang thing and just have it be ready to fly. They come from the factory mostly configured and mostly ready to fly, but there are some things that are unique to you. You are a special snowflake. There are some things that are unique to you, like your controller layout and your goggles that they have to be bound to, and so there's always going to be some setup that you have to do. The specific controller that we're going to be using in this video is the Radiomaster T15, and the specific goggles we're going to be using are the DJI Goggles 3. These quadcopters have an Express ELRS receiver in them, and almost certainly that's how you're going to buy them as well. So if you've got any Express ELRS radio, then this guide will be useful to you. And then this also has the DJI O4 Air unit in it. Again, they're sold either with the O4 Air unit or with no video transmitter whatsoever, and you roll your own. I'm going to assume if you're watching a beginner setup video that you've got the O4 Air unit. If you're rolling your own, you probably already know how to do the basic setup. And the first thing we need to do is bind the controller to the receiver in the drone. There's two basic data links on the drone. One is the control link and one is the video link. The control link goes from this controller to the receiver in the drone. The video link goes from this video transmitter to the goggles on your face. We're going to bind them separately. If you need a full tutorial on Express ELRS, what it is, how to set it up, how to get it working, I've got a video about that. This is not that. This is like, let's just roll through the steps and get it done. I'll put a link to that full Express ELRS tutorial video down in the video description below, of course. Now, there's various ways to bind an Express ELRS receiver, but we're going to try going through Betaflight Configurator. Betaflight is the firmware that runs on the flight controller in this drone. It's basically the brains of the drone. And if we go in Betaflight Configurator, you may not have Betaflight Configurator downloaded yet. Good news, there's an easier way to do it. If you go to app.betaflight.com on your web browser, then that's Betaflight Configurator. There's no separate app to install. And in fact, you can even up here in your taskbar or address bar, you can have download and install the app to your hard drive if you want to access it offline. Here mine says open in app because I've already done that. Here in the Betaflight Configurator, we'll plug in USB, and then up here, I see Betaflight STM Electronics. That's my flight controller. If you can't find it, hit I can't find my USB device, and you should see Betaflight right there. If you still can't find it, you may need to download and install the STM32 virtual COM port drivers. And if that's the case, then you can, look at this, quad me up, download and install virtual COM port driver for Windows. Yeah, here they go. They got it right here. The actual STM's website makes it really hard to download. You have to like make a login and log in, but you can also get it from here. I'll put both of those URLs in the video description below if you need to. But Windows should come with the STM32 drivers pre-installed. So you should be able to go, I can't find my USB device. There's Betaflight, STM32, connect, and connect. From here, we're going to go to the receiver tab. And on the receiver tab, there is a button at the bottom, bind receiver. This doesn't always work. We're going to try it and we're going to see if it works. And if so, life will be good. And if not, then we'll have to try something else. I want you to look at the drone, and I want you to look at this little blinking LED right here that's going blinkety, 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 blink. That is the LED for our Express ELRS receiver. The Express ELRS receiver on this drone is built into the flight controller, so there's no separate piece of hardware, but it does have a status LED. The reason I point that out to you is that LED is going blinkety, 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 blink. That means the receiver has gone into Wi-Fi mode. Why would it do that? Don't worry about it. This is not an in-depth video. This is just the wavetops level. The bottom line is that if the receiver has gone into Wi-Fi mode, it stops acting like a receiver and it's waiting for you to connect to it via Wi-Fi so you could do whatever you would want to do over Wi-Fi. And so we need to kick this out of Wi-Fi mode. Now, there's a chance that if I hit bind receiver, that will just work. I don't think so. Let's find out though. Bind receiver. Nothing happened. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to power cycle the flight controller. by unplugging and replugging USB. And now you see that LED is going blink, blink, blink. That means it is looking for connection. Connection to what? I haven't bound it yet, but it's just looking for connection. And after 60 seconds, it'll start doing blinkety, 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 blink, and we'll need to power cycle it again. Let's hit bind receiver and see if it works. It did not work. I know it didn't work because if the receiver had gone into bind mode, it would be going blink, 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 not blink, blink, blink. 2 blinks is binding. It didn't work. Darn. I always try it, but if it doesn't work, well, here's the workaround. What we're going to do is we're going to power cycle the flight controller 3 times. And I'm just going to power it up and wait until I see the light turn on the first time. 1, 2, and 3. And now you can see that the receiver is going blink, blink, 2 blinks. That means it's in binding mode. And after 60 seconds, it's going to go into Wi-Fi, and I'll need to do that again. So let's do the controller part. On the controller, I'm going to long press the sys key. That's going to take me to the tools menu. No, radio setup. Hold on. Tools is what I want. The tools menu. So I'm going to page to the tools menu. On some radios, the tool menu comes up immediately after you press the sys key. In the tools menu, I'm going to hit Express LRS, and then this is my Express LRS settings. If you don't see that menu, it means your radio is not talking to your Express LRS module. And I've got a section in my full Express LRS troubleshooting guide about what to do about that. Again, linked in the video description below. But we're going to assume that yours loaded up. We're going to go down to bind and hit bind. And then when we do that, we should see on the drone that I was too slow. The LED transitions from double blink to single blink as it searches and then goes solid as it makes a connection. The other thing we see is that we have a C in the upper right-hand corner of the script. And if we back out of the script by pressing the return key, we have these signal bars here. That's all indicating that the radio is connected to the drone. Next, let's go into the receiver tab in the drone, and as I move the sticks, I should see movement in the receiver tab. That indicates that the receiver is working and talking to the flight controller. Good. Next thing we need to do is check our channel mapping. The channel mapping just makes sure that when I move the throttle, the flight controller agrees that it's the throttle that I'm moving. So I'm moving the throttle up and down, and sure enough, the throttle channel is moving. I'm going to move the yaw stick left and right, and sure enough, the yaw channel is what's moving. I'm going to move the pitch stick up and down, and the pitch channel moves, and the roll stick left and right, and sure enough, the roll channel moves. The other thing I can do is I can look at this 3D model of a drone, and I can move the controls. If you have had a little bit of time in the sim, or if you've flown drones before, you know which way the drone should move as you move the controls. And so we can just make sure that it moves the correct direction for all the controls. If your channel mapping is wrong, what you're going to do is go here to the channel map parameter, and usually the channel map will be either the FreeSky, Spectrum, or the default, one of those, or you can manually rearrange the letters AETR. You can manually rearrange those RETA, etc., to rearrange which control maps to which channel until it is correct. The next thing you're going to check is your endpoints for the channels. And what I mean by endpoints is when I push the stick all the way to the left, do you see that the roll channel goes to 989. All the way to the right, it goes to 2012. That is not correct. This is something you need to do one time on your controller, and then any quads you bind to will have it correct for the future. But this is a brand new model on a brand new controller. I don't know if you can see back on the desk, but my GX12, I broke one of the gimbals by dropping it, and it is in pieces until I can get a new gimbal. So this is not actually my normal daily driver radio, and it's not set up. The way that you fix the endpoints is we're going to press the model key, and we're going to page to the outputs screen. And in the outputs screen, we're just going to pick a channel. And I like to pick the throttle channel first. I think it's easiest to work with because it's not spring-loaded. It just stays where you leave it. So I'm going to put it all the way down. And then we see we have 989 in the receiver tab. And I can see that as I move this up and down, channel 3 is moving. So channel 3 is clearly the throttle. I'm going to long press the jog wheel and edit. And I'm going to manipulate the min parameter. Oops, no. I'm going to go to min. And I'm going to roll that, and I'm going to watch in the receiver tab. I'm going to watch the throttle channel. I'm going to roll that till it reaches 1000. 1000 is the correct value. I'm then going to put the throttle all the way up, and I'm going to manipulate the max parameter, and I'm going to roll that until it reaches 2000. And when I've got 1000 to 2000 as the max and the min, that is the correct endpoints for this channel. And what I can then do is, if I back out to the main screen and long press the jog wheel, there we go, short press the jog wheel, interesting. I can just do copy min-max center to all outputs, boom, and it'll do the same thing for all of the other channels. So now if I push roll all the way to the left, it's 1000, all the way to the right, it's 2000. Pitch, 2000, 1000, yaw, 1000, 2000, and that is done. The next thing I need to do is set up my aux modes. And aux modes are how the flight controller knows that when you like press the arm switch, you want the quadcopter to arm, or any other modes that you might want to set up. Before you do this, you're going to want to come up with a plan for the switches on your radio and what you want them to do. Like a lot of people would put the arm switch here, and they might put, well, what other switches might you have? I'm going to show you my setup, and I'm going to show you how I set it up. And if you want a more in-depth guide into how to set this up, I've got a tutorial about how to use EdgeTX, which is the operating system that's running on this radio. Again, this is very Wavetops level. I'm just going to show you click this, do this. But if you're a little confused maybe because your radio doesn't look exactly like mine, or maybe there's a step that I skimmed over a little too quickly, I'm going to encourage you to go check out my full EdgeTX tutorial. I'll link you right to the video about setting up aux modes. So there's like 15 videos in the whole playlist if you just want to get to that one. I'll put the link in the video description below. But basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the model key, and I'm going to page to the mixes screen, and I need to add a mix. A mixer line is a line that maps a physical control to an output channel. So I'm going to go down, and I'm going to click the plus, adding a new mixer line, and it's going to be for channel 5. And channel 5 with Express LRS must be the arming channel. That's just a rule with Express LRS. So our source for that channel is going to be this physical button. That is SE. You can see it molded on the button. And I could just go into this menu and scroll down until I find SE, but I don't have to do that. If I just press the switch one time, bonk, it fills it in. So I'll just press that switch and hit the jog wheel. Okay, switch SE is now controlling channel 5. And if we look in the receiver tab, as I press the switch, notice that channel 5 goes up and down. Channel 5 is labeled as aux 1. The channels go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 4 channels are roll, pitch, yaw, and throttle. And then the remaining channels are auxiliary or aux channels. Aux 1 goes up and down when I press my arm switch. And then I go to the modes tab and I tell the drone that I want it to arm when aux 1 goes high. That's what this yellow indicator here means. Aux 1 high means I want to arm, and that is how I want to have it. Now I'm going to set up my remaining modes. I'm going to have angle mode and turtle mode over on this switch because that's just how I always do it. Angle mode puts the drone into auto level mode. I tend not to use that very much, but I like it to be there just in case. And turtle mode is used to flip the drone upside down. If you crash and you're upside down, you flip it back over with turtle mode. We're going to add another mixer line, this time on channel 6. The source is going to be switch SD, and that is all I need to do. And I like to have SD in the middle. As I move switch SD, channel aux 2 moves. That's what I wanted. Modes tab. I want angle mode to be in the middle position, and I'm going to disable hide unused modes so I can see the unused ones. I'm going to add turtle mode, which is labeled flip crash, as aux 2 high. In the middle is going to be angle mode, all the way down is going to be flip crash, and up is going to be nothing. And then finally, I like the beeper to be on this momentary switch here. Yeah, that momentary switch there. We're going to just do one more. Add mix, channel 7. Source is going to be switch SF. And that's going to be aux 3 beeper. Oh, good. That works out. Beeper. And that's basically it. There's more aux modes you can set up, more fancy things you can do, but this is the basic minimum configuration for a drone for me. Arming, turtle mode, angle mode, because you never know, you might want it, and then a beeper so I can find it if I crash and lose the drone. Bingo. The next thing I like to do is set up my on-screen display. They come from the factory with an on-screen display, but I have a standard way I set up my on-screen display, so it's the same on all my drones. And it's kind of complicated to set up, so rather than type it out manually, I have a paste bin that I use, and it just keeps my whole setup there. Let me just log in, and Walk Snail and DJI HD OSD with GPS. There it is. I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to go to the CLI and paste it in. The CLI is the command line interface, and it's the way that real nerds access the Betaflight configuration. I'm just going to type save, and if I then connect and go to the OSD tab, voila, there is my OSD layout. Now this drone doesn't have a GPS on it, so I'm going to actually turn off these GPS elements so they're not just in there showing nothing, and that's going to be GPS sats, speed, home direction, distance, and altitude. We're going to turn that off, and that is my standard GPS layout. I'm going to save that. If you want to link to that paste bin so you can copy my my OSD layout, then it's in the video description below. Next, we're going to set up the video link, the DJI Air unit. Before we do that, can I ask you, if you've come this far, if you're getting value from this content, would you please consider joining my Patreon? Patreon is a website where you subscribe to me. Basically, like, you know, instead of subscribing to a magazine or a streaming service, you give me a couple dollars a month, and it means that I can keep paying the rent and keep making content like this. The minimum amount is $2 a month. I know you have subscriptions right now that are way more than $2 a month that you don't even know exist. So if I'm worth more to you than that, think about joining my Patreon. There's a link down below. If not, that's fine. I keep making that content. I don't put it behind a paywall. You can keep watching it. Hopefully the day will come that you will succumb to my begging. No, it's not begging. It's marketing. On with the video. In order to set up the DJI Air unit, we are going to need a program called the DJI Assistant. You want to make sure that you have the DJI Assistant Consumer Drones series. There are other versions of the DJI Assistant. They will not work. And we're going to take off this nice little cover that GEPRC gave us, and we're going to plug in the DJI Air unit. We do not need to plug a battery in for this step, where we're going to activate and do a firmware update if necessary. Once the Air unit appears here, we'll click on it to connect, and it'll tell us if we need a firmware update or if we need to activate. And yes, the firmware is not on the latest, and it's safe to upgrade this. The DJI O4, there's no reason not to be on the latest firmware. Sometimes it's like, oh, do I want to stay back because they took away some feature, or is there some compatibility issue with... No, the O4 Air unit, you can just upgrade to the latest. It's no problem. Okay, that is done. And then the next thing we need to do is bind it to the goggles. We're going to do that by powering up the goggles. We will need a battery for this step. It will not work over USB. To bind, I'm going to plug in a battery to the drone. So I've got my 2S battery here. It's going to power up, and I'm going to look for the binding button. Here it is. The binding button on the Air unit is right there. It even says bind right next to it. And we'll get out my poker. Hello? Where's my poker? Oh, there it is. I knew I had my poker. I'll get out my poker and just press bind. The LED begins blinking. And then on the goggles, we're just going to hold the power button for a few seconds. Okay, and they will attempt to bind. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong mode. So the goggles can be in, depending on what you're binding to, they'll be in different modes. These are in the wrong mode. They're throwing an error message, and it just is offering me to switch. So we'll switch to the correct mode, and then we'll do that again. Air unit is still blinking. It's still in binding mode, so we don't need to redo that. Okay, here we go. There we go. Beep, 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 beep. And you can't see this, but haha, we do have image. Can you see it? No, you can't see it. Oh, you still can't see it. It's out of focus. It's hopeless. Yeah, no, trust me. We have image. So with that done, we should be ready to fly. If I just arm, yeah, we got video, we got arming, disarming. We're ready to go. have to do that all again for the 2.2 inch one, but it's the same steps. So I hope you enjoy flying your drone. I'm going to put a couple cards on screen to videos you might want to check out. My Express ELRS Complete Beginner Guide and my Edge TX Beginner Guide. So you can check those out. They are linked in the video description below if you want to get a little deeper in. See you there.